In 1929, Belgian artist René Magritte revealed a painting to the world titled The Treachery of Images. It was a simple but thought-provoking painting which eventually became the subject of my personal statement essay for college admissions. It's a weird thing to task a teenager with writing an essay that could determine their entire academic and financial future. It's a weird thing, and it's a stressful thing. Or at least it was for me. See, I was a part of like 12 different college prep programs, and advice was coming from all directions about what my essay should be about, and how I should write it, and in what font I should send it in. In retrospect, I am very grateful for the systems that surrounded me that got me into a good college and did not put me in huge amounts of debt. But at the time, I was just frustrated, and being the good Sicilian that I am, that frustration quickly turned into anger. Anger which I could only really meaningfully direct at the system which forced me to encapsulate my entire being and put it in a little essay. So after my billionth attempt to write something meaningful, after hours of staring blankly at my unmoving cursor, and as the unwavering chant of "just be yourself" boomed in my silent workspace, I decided to scrap everything. I deleted the essay that I'd been working on for more than 3 weeks and started from scratch. I paused. And then, in a red fury that I hardly remember, I wrote a 3,000-word essay so teeming with profanities that it would have made a sailor blush, so scathingly critical that Martin Luther himself would have had second thoughts, and so fit for a college essay that unfortunately I would once again lose 99% of what I had written. But fortunately for me, I didn't lose everything. Something stuck. In the last sentences of my essay, as my fury began to dissipate, I wrote the following. No matter how compelling my narrative, or super good my choice of words, no matter where my commas go or how my voice is heard, I am not, and never will be an essay. And no matter what I am definitely not a pipe. All these years later, I still like that sentence quite a lot. No matter how super good my choice of words felt like a witty twist, I still like it a lot. I especially like that last bit. No matter what I am, I'm certainly not a pipe. I guess it makes sense right now for me to explain the painting that I've been talking about this whole time. I'll put it on screen now. Take a good long gander at it. It is a simple depiction of a pipe with a phrase written in French. It says, "This is not a pipe." Strange, isn't it? Like, of course that is a pipe. What else could it be? Well, if you were listening closely, you'll know that I already told you what it was. It is not a pipe. It is a depiction of a pipe. René Magritte, it seems, had become concerned with the nature of his craft. And while other artists went to greater and greater lengths to try and convey the complexities of their internal experiences, René Magritte resigned himself to the simple fact that an artist would never be able to portray their subject truly. He declared for the world to hear that no painting of a pipe would ever be a pipe, and likewise, no essay would ever be a man. That's the first level of interpretation anyways. I think that it goes much deeper than that. As I pondered the painting and thought more about its meaning, its intentions, I realized that the word pipe also is not a pipe. It's a representation, it's a portrayal of a pipe, just like the actual image was. It's a depiction, just in a different format. Likewise, the rest of the words on the canvas were just as meaningless, mere suggestions to their readers. Given that context, The Treachery of Images becomes just as bizarre, just as fantastical as any of the other paintings of the time. Words melt off the canvas and become meaningless lines. The pipe disappears. Suddenly, you're swirling in a beige thought and questioning how you interface with the world. Even a pipe, very much before me and as material and present to a person as a thing can be, is not a pipe. It's my experience of the pipe. It's a projection of the pipe. Even a person, very much before me, and as in love and as raw as a person can be, is not a person. It's a projection of a person, and a shallow one at that. It is a blind man's experience of a starry night described. Why then did Magritte bother making his painting? In fact, why did Magritte spend his entire career making and sharing his art? If he knew that all of it would fail to convey what he wanted to convey, then why bother? Perhaps, as I thought during the time of first considering that question, he was merely shouting into the void, trying to stay entertained, or at least entertained enough to endure the pain of life until he died. Perhaps, but perhaps not. As I've reflected on the treachery of images, and as I've developed my own philosophical outlook on the world, I've come to theorize that Magritte wasn't merely criticizing art, he was also bringing our attention to its great strengths. See, René Magritte was not trying to paint a pipe at all. He was trying to convey an internal experience. I interpret his painting as conveying an experience of confusion and frustration and perhaps loneliness, but blended with hope and the desire to make something beautiful. Magritte's point, at least in my view, is that you'll never be able to paint those things as you might be able to paint a pipe. But through our many forms of expression, we still might be able to connect with one another nonetheless. René Magritte did not ever paint a pipe. It's impossible. But he did make art. And he did make me think, and he did make me feel, and he made me feel as though I connected with some part of his experience. And at least to me, that's a big part of what art is. So why am I talking about this? What does this have to do with you or me? Well, I'm starting a YouTube channel. This is my first video on this channel, and I won't ever be able to convey the complexity of my experience. But I'm hoping that we can have a good time sharing thoughts and experiences and art with each other here. And like Magritte's painting, this is either a shout into the void or an experiment in connectedness and consciousness and art. I'll let you decide which. And welcome to the Sam Experiment.